What's up, friends? Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City with Dan Courtwright. I'm Sean Kellerman, Elijah Schmidt running the operations today. Dan, it's great to see you.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while, man. You smell like baby powder and throw up.
Hey, that's a lot. That's better than I could be smelling, I'll tell you that.
New perfume you're wearing?
I think so, yeah. I got it over at Kohl's.
Good,
yeah.
Nice. I got to check that out.
Yeah, no, but appreciate you holding down the fort as, we've had a busy couple weeks. Have not been sleeping very much. The whole newborn toddler combo has been a lot. But
you walked in here with your eyes closed.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm driving with my eyes closed and eating with my eyes closed. It's all happening, but no, we're very blessed. And yeah, it's been a great couple weeks.
Yeah,
kind of.
Sean had a baby.
Week and a half. I did have a baby. Yes. Shout out to my wife, and we've got a couple pictures of my new baby girl, Claire, that we'll put on the screen for you right now. But she's very sweet. Dan Courtwright brought over some banana bread, which is very much appreciated. So people spoiled us.
My fiance made it.
Yes.
We had a lot of bananas that were rotting fast.
Yes.
And she said, "What can we do?"
I could tell.
Yeah, she said, "What?" She said, "What can we do with these?" I said, "Banana bread." And
right.
So she made a lot of banana bread.
So you made a long list of people, and you just couldn't think of anybody.
No, I knocked on so many doors. I was like, "Do you want this?" And they said, "Absolutely not." And then I just happened to be your.
You
neck
knew
of
we
the
were
woods.
home.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, I think Sean lives around here. I guess I'll throw that on his front porch."
Yeah. So. But shout out to PJ for the banana bread. But yeah, no, we're very lucky, and yeah, we'll see how I survive this. Two girls, girl dad.
How are you feeling, man?
I mean, I'm tired, but yeah, I always wanted to be a girl dad, so I'm pretty lucky. You thought it was going to be a boy, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. I had a lot of money on it too. I need to.
I
had to take up a second job.
Offered that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can bet on anything.
Right.
You can bet on anything. It's astounding what you can bet on in Kansas. But yeah, dude, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's super sick.
For sure.
Now you understand to the fullest extent of what I've gone through because I have two dogs.
You were just one step ahead because your dog was adopted, right?
Yes.
It was an adopted dog?
Yeah, we adopted.
3 months ago or so?
No need to call me a hero.
Yeah.
Or a warrior. Or the greatest, nicest man to ever live this earth. I will accept those, but no need, really.
Yes.
You can call me that if you want.
And Mac, I want to say? Mac.
Yes.
Charlie and is he still running amok?
Yes. He's horrible. We had his tooth pulled the other day.
Oh, God.
He's chewing he's chewing on cords and shoes.
Oh, my goodness.
And, he's, not... He's not a good dog. He's not a good dog whatsoever, but he's a little easier. I'm probably easier to manage than maybe your.
Well, we're going through it a little bit because there's the newborn factor, but the newborn, herself, she very much will do 3 things, right? She eats and poops and sleeps.
So how long is? Because I guess in my knowledge of babies, which is none.
Yeah. I still have no knowledge, babies, and I've already had one. Yeah.
2.
I've got 2 now.
Yeah. I thought for the first month they just sleep all the time.
There's a lot of sleeping going on. The eating, the pooping, and the sleeping is big. There's definitely an element of.
Was she eating like cheeseburgers?
Yeah, pretty much fries, sweet
Have you introduced her
potato fries. She loves
Philly cheesesteaks yet?
Yeah. No, I thought about it though. We'll see on Christmas if I have to treat her.
Get a wild hair.
But yeah, it's that they got to eat every 2 or 3 hours though is the thing.
Sure.
So that's a lot of up and diapers in the middle of the night.
Even in the middle. Okay. So even in the middle of the night they have to eat.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
so middle of the night, every 3 hours or so, and as she puts on more weight, it won't. She can have a longer stretch of sleep during the night. But obviously, she's not even 2 weeks old yet, as you know.
Right.
And
Goodness.
So there's that, but the factor of the toddler as well. So Ava, my oldest, which is weird to say, she loved the idea of a baby for the first day.
Of course.
Day or two. It's like, oh my gosh, a new toy. Like I asked her at one point her favorite toy because she got some big sister gifts, and she said her favorite toy was her baby.
Oh,
so it's cute, right? But now I think it eventually sunk in for her that the baby's not going away.
Oh, sure.
So,
yeah, right.
So the baby was fun for the first day or two. Turns out the baby goes everywhere now.
Right.
That we go. Yeah. So it's not just Ava and mom and dad.
Is she getting jealous yet?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Dude. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. And she's handling it well, and she's very sweet. Like we'll be in the car. and she'll say, "Dad, look, I'm singing to my baby," and she'll be singing along an Elmo song or something. I'm like, very cute.
Yeah.
But just an adjustment period, and she knows that Claire, our baby, doesn't know how to talk, and Claire's way of communicating is crying and squeaking.
Babbles.
So
yeah.
then Ava's like, "Oh, this is how I get their attention, is I should do that."
Oh, fun.
So a little bit of that, but
great.
but Ava's very smart, and she's a great big sister. She wants to help with diaper changes and all that, and the girl dad thing, man. I'm just telling you, it was meant to be for me, and
Man,
we'll see, but
yeah. So let me get this straight. So 13 pounds, 8 ounces, correct?
Yes, 13 pounds, 8 ounces.
Nice,
No,
that's great.
no.
Do you have a favorite yet?
Do I have? It's a tie. It's a tie. Yeah,
that's not.
Do you have a favorite yet, Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie, 100%.
Right.
Mac's horrible.
Right,
He's a terrible dog.
Ava was when Ava was born, she was 6 pounds 7 ounces, very tiny.
Okay.
Claire 7 pounds 4 ounces.
Okay.
So a little bit bigger. But yeah, I mean,
sense.
there are some. I have a cousin who was like 10 pounds 11 ounces when he was born. Elijah was like 9.
I was 10 pounds 8 ounces.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wow. Bless your heart.
No, I know.
Bless your mom's heart.
My poor mother. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mom.
No, they're just so tiny, man. Like they're they're just a little, so tiny.
Just a little baby.
Yeah, it's
man.
like her whole butt fits in your hand when you're. It's crazy.
You just palm her like a basketball.
Yes,
yeah,
pretty much.
Sure.
Hey, let's talk Rock Chalk Sports. Appreciate you guys tuning in. But yeah, Dan,
I'm gonna make sure
down,
I get Sean's favorite kid off air
at some point. Dan held down the fort last week, and honestly, I have been elbows deep in poop, so I don't know.
I can smell it. Yeah.
I don't know quite as much. But we're gonna roll through it. Obviously, we got a big basketball game tonight. KU and Davidson closing out the non-conference portion for the Jayhawks, who had a nice performance, I thought. We didn't get to break it down. Maybe you can say a word or two now. It seems like it was forever ago.
Yeah.
On Tuesday against Towson. This was a Towson team who certainly is better than Green Bay, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi that Kansas faced earlier this season. But Kansas kind of put it to them, which was nice after an emotional win in Raleigh. That was kind of my takeaways. Man, this is what the best teams at KU do. They just go out and just kind of step on the throats of these opponents.
Yeah.
And again, Towson, they're a decent program, and KU just pounded them.
Yeah, the Fighting Nick Timberlakes. Right?
Yeah, it was a Nick Timberlake revenge game.
It was. Frank Mason revenge game too.
Yes,
technically.
Yes,
right.
Yep.
He was committed to Towson before he came to KU. Yeah, I mean, look, I these two games, I'm going to lump them in a hive, I guess.
Yeah.
So these two games, I've always thought I really liked the fact that Kansas was ending the non-con on these two games, right? Because you had that long stretch kind of in the middle of just power conference team after power conference team after blue blood after blue blood, right? You had UConn, Duke, UNC, NC State in Raleigh, right? You had a number of different teams that you were facing off against, which Kansas always does a really good job at scheduling really tough opponents in the non-con. I like the fact that they had two teams that weren't power teams. Now, Towson is nothing to scoff at. Davidson's nothing to scoff at, right? Two teams with relatively good histories in basketball, at least. But at the same time, it's a little bit of a deep breath kind of before you open up Big 12 play, right? It's everybody's a little antsy, and Bill Self talked about it a little bit in his press conference, about how, a lot of kids just want to be home right now. And whenever you're facing off against, a Duke or a UNC or something like that, that's a lot of times they can really get your number. I mean, even when you're facing off against a Davidson team, they can get your number like that as well. Davidson played KU, I think, the year after or 2 years after they beat them in the Elite Eight back in 2008, and Davidson got them, right? And that
Kansas
was right.
City.
Yeah, that was right before Christmas break, and he said a lot of the guys were a little distracted. I think it was right before Christmas break. So, those kind of things happen, right? But it's nice to kind of have a deep breath. And when you look at this Kansas team, because the Towson game is also in that lump of there's no students there. Right, I mean there were students there, but the student
it filled
section
up kind of nice, surprisingly.
The crowd was excellent. I thought Kansas fans really did show out. I thought it was a great showing by Kansas fans.
I wanted to say too. I said this to David when we were watching the game. I was like, man, these were maybe my favorite games at Allen Fieldhouse when I was a student, just because you didn't have. And I was lucky.
Did you stick around?
Overland Park. Well, Overland Park. So I would just drive up.
back.
But it wasn't even a thought. It was like. you're going to Lawrence for the KU game.
Of course.
I mean, KU plays.
Right.
What are you going to do? Not go? I mean, no, that's not an option.
Yeah.
But it was just fun because then you go and then you beat the tar out of somebody, and then you go out and you don't have school the next day. But but they showed out, and I'm sure they will tonight as well. But yeah, shout out to the fans. I feel like it's been a step up all season compared to last year.
Yeah,
this
couple
seems
years.
So fun to watch.
Last couple of years, you and I have been pretty vocal about how we thought the students, in particular, the fans have been great, but the student sections in particular just haven't been the same. Obviously, I want the students to take that and improve upon it, right? Don't get mad at me for saying that, but just be like, oh yeah, we do need to step
and
up.
It has been better, for sure.
I think they have. They have been excellent all year long. But yeah, against Towson, right? I mean, you had the CAA Player of the Year, reigning CAA Player of the Year, Tyler Tejada, come in. He only had 8 points, right?
3 of 12, most important guy. KU does it again.
Right, yeah. Dylan Williamson, I thought, he was their leading scorer, but at the same time, you held him to not very much from the three-point line. Towson was a really good three-point team coming in, and Kansas held him to 12%. Kansas, right now, they're the number 1 team. They've been bouncing around the top 5. They were 3, then they were 5, then they were back to 3, I think, and then they jumped back up to number 1 in terms of, let's see, I have the number here. Effective field goal defense, this number 1 in the nation. Also, 3-point defense, number 1 in the nation. So this Kansas defense is really, really stepping up. And Davidson, they're a good 3-point shooting team. But I think Kansas, they have the length and the defensive ability to be able to tamper them down. But yeah, the Towson game, I really liked what I saw out of everybody in that game, Melvin Council included, right? I mean, at this point, you kind of have to just assume that Melvin Council is a 3-point shooter because he went 50% in this game, 3 for 6, right?
Stepping up with confidence.
It's weird because you can look at that NC State game as being like, yeah, that was a fluke, right? Nobody's going to hit 9 threes in the game, but also it gave him confidence to add that to his bag and be that 3-point shooter, be that 3-point threat that teams are really looking at, right? So teams aren't going to be sagging off of Melvin as much, which is going to open up the court more in the paint and get more paint touches for Flory and Bryson and some of those guys, which I think is really important.
Yeah. Well, defensively, you touched on it, but Kansas up to 7 in KenPom defensive efficiency. You can't score on these guys. 49 points for Towson. It's been uncomfortable. 3 of 24 from 3. We understand that game was a while ago, but I wanted to relive that real quick. We're going to talk more in detail about the Davidson Wildcats here in a second. In the next segment, we are going to talk a little Chiefs. So we're pre-recording the show right now, so understand a little bit later today there is
we're bringing on Nicholas Springer.
Press conference. Nicholas
J. Springer.
And he is going to be asked about the Chiefs because
Next
they are seemingly moving to Kansas, which is very exciting for those of us who are big fans of the Sunflower State and have lived here our whole lives. College football playoff talk as well. Nick Springer will come on following that. And then we have our Case of the Mondays segment. We're going to hear from the 2-time national champion Bill Self, plus some Monday Night Football game picks as well. Man, what an uninspired performance by the Chiefs yesterday. I mean, I get it. I get it. And we'll have more on that in Case of the Mondays, but just a joke. I mean, just terrible. Tear it down. Let's just get through these 2 games, right? Horrible. But anyway, let's talk KU Davidson. Want to shout out Miles Schneider and everybody over at Crown Automotive for their partnership. They were the first partners that we got here at Kansas Nation, and they have played a huge part in us getting this rolling. So really appreciate Miles. Go on over there, South Iowa. They've got a great selection to choose from. Miles Schneider, Crown Automotive. Appreciate you guys over there. KU and Davidson, of course, Dan, interesting spot. I don't know that I remember this kind of going off of what we were just talking about. Kansas played Towson December 16th, and then Davidson is tonight, the 22nd, and you don't play until January 3rd.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a dead period. And it's probably not going to seem like that much because you have Thursday, Friday, we won't have shows here on Rock Chalk Sports, and that's 25th, 26th, and then next Thursday, Friday as well, the 1st and the 2nd. So it'll be kind of strange, previewing the UCF game on New Year's Eve, the 31st, before it actually happens a couple days later. But that's kind of the time that we're in. But still, I mean, Monday to the following Saturday, that's a long stretch and a great opportunity for the guys to get more reps, get more practice. And certainly we hope to see Darren Peterson tonight. It all starts with him in terms of KU's ceiling. But a lot of guys, they've been playing well with or without DP, and another chance for Kansas to continue sawing wood on the defensive end. They seem to understand that's how they're going to win games, and the offense will come. And as we've seen, particularly from guys like Counselor recently, it'll come.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think so, right? And we've been consistent about this, about Darren Peterson being out is a silver lining, and these guys have been able to step up. It's gone exactly the way that you wanted it to. Whenever your star player is out, is that the other guys need to be able to step up and find those roles and step into that leadership position, and everybody has seemingly done that, right? And we'll get into Davidson, but just a word on Darren Peterson, right? Bill Self said that he's good. He's been practicing. He feels good. It's just in terms of how he's going to feel in the game. If I were Bill Self, a lot of people are calling for him to sit for this game and just get him ready for the UCF game. I don't think that's the best possible thing. If I'm Bill Self, now granted, I'm not Bill Self. I have 0 national championships, 0 head basketball coaching experience. I am not in the Naismith Hall of Fame. So he probably knows more than I do.
We might have to Google that just to make sure.
Double check that. If I do, I gotta update my resume. But you got to play Darren for like 15 minutes in this game, right? Play him for 15 minutes in this game just so he gets back into the rhythm of just being in a game-like situation, right? Play him for 15 minutes, maybe 20 is pushing it. Take him out before anything starts to happen. Just play him a little bit, right? Take him out before something happens, before the quad starts bothering him, before anything could potentially go wrong. Just let him get that in-game experience before Big 12 play. I think that is the most important thing, is to get him back ready, right? Because he's practicing, and I understand that they go game speed, and they're battling against obviously really good players in practice every single day. But at the same time, the environment's different, right? I think Darren has only played 22 minutes total in Allen Fieldhouse this year, right? So you need to get him comfortable back in that atmosphere, back out there on the court. I'm not saying that he isn't. I'm not saying that he's not going to be Darren Peterson, but just on the off chance that he might not be fully ready and bam, right away for UCF, ready to go, get him out there, get him that experience in the game, let him get hot, let him build that confidence back up. I think that's going to be really important. Now, again, we don't know. Self said today that he's going to go through shoot around, and we'll kind of see today where he's kind of sitting. But at the same time, I just personally think you have to play him 15, maybe 20 minutes just before anything starts to happen, just to get that experience back.
It'd be nice as a pre-Christmas gift for KU fans, too, just to see him out there,
Absolutely.
right? So if doable, then that would be great. Of course, it comes down to his health, and I'm sure if he can go, he'll go. He wants to play. He wants to be out there. And, for what it's worth, which is not very much because there are smart people who make the decisions, Peterson not playing, he's not talked about as much just from the aspect of he's not playing nationally. Now, people understand that he's still that dude, and he's still going to be a top 2, top 3 pick, top 1 pick, whatever it is in the NBA draft. But I'm sure he wants to showcase that he can get out there and he can play. And again, Kansas' ceiling is very high with DP. I love the fact that these guys are proving their ceiling is still solid without him. And we'll see if he plays tonight, even if it is in a limited capacity. Would love to see him get out there, and I think I agree with you on this, Dan. If he can play 15 minutes, 18 minutes, whatever it is, and most importantly, Kansas gets the win, then that would be a great sight to see. And then post-game, we could hear Coach say, yeah, he feels great, or no update, no news, good news. Any of that would be awesome, because then, again, you do have this extended time, 12 days from one game to the next. And then KU gets UCF and TCU, decent teams. Not sure if they'll be back half of the Big 12 or if they'll be middle of the pack of the Big 12. They both have interesting resumes, and more on that, of course, in the coming shows. But tell us a little bit more about Davidson Wildcats. Really interesting when you look at their stats from a team perspective, Dan, because they have a lot of guys who shoot threes and shoot well, and they're not reliant on one or two individuals.
Yeah, and they're one of the better three-point shooting teams in the nation, right? They're shooting 38% right now from three, but they're kind of in the middle of the pack in Division I in terms of 3 points attempted per game, right? So they're not a live by the three, die by the three, but they are a very good three-point shooting team. They're 8-3 right now. They did beat Washington State. That's really, well, I guess, are they technically Power 4 anymore? Power 5? No, right? Anytime I see Washington
They are
State.
Mountain West, right?
Oh,
now?
sure.
I
Okay,
think,
sure. Yeah. So they're playing a Mountain West
So not
schedule,
technically, but Mountain West is a hybrid, 6th or 7th best
Correct,
conference.
yeah.
So there's that.
But they're 0-2 against teams who are in the top 100 in Ken Pom, right? They lost to St. Mary's 71-61. They also lost to Utah State 94-60. Lost to Temple as well 68-63. That was their most recent loss. They only have one guy who's averaging in double figures right now. It's Josh Scovins. He's averaging 10.5 points per game. Josh Scovins is also leading them in rebounding as well with 4.2, which is really impressive because he plays that guard spot, right? So this is going to be a big game, I think, down low. They do not have a lot of guys down low who can do a lot of stuff, right? Hunter Adams averaging half a block a game. He's listed as a guard, right? They have a guy coming off the bench right now who's their best 3-point shooter. Hunter Adams, that's him. Like I said, he's averaging 4.1 3-point attempts per game. He's shooting 51.2% from the field. So he's really good. He's again listed kind of as a guard forward, kind of hybrid kind of guy. I think this is going to be a field day for Flory and Bryson. I really do. I think even if Darren Peterson's out there, right, the way that Kansas is going to win this game is through paint touches. Don't be shocked if Bryson and Flory have 15 and 20 respectively. I think Kansas really matches up well down low. The 3-point defense has been astounding all year, right? I think that's probably the most important part of this. Like I said, Kansas is number 1 in the nation in terms of defense on the 3-point line and an effective field goal defense, both number 1. So I like Kansas on the defensive end of the ball. This has all the makings to be potentially a blowout. They don't score a lot of points. This Davidson team doesn't. Like I said, they only have one guy scoring, in double figures, right? They have a lot of other guys who are kind of in the middle, right? Yeah. Robert Blums, he's at 9.5. Nick Koval's also at 9.5. Hunter Adams is at 9.1. He actually comes off the bench, which is interesting. Sam Brown, 8.7. Parker Fredrickson is at 8. So they have guys. They distribute the ball a lot in terms of, all of their guys. They don't have one guy who really rises above the rest. Josh Scovins is really good. But at the same time, I mean, Kansas, with the way that the guards have been playing, with the way that their defense has been guarding the perimeter and getting those rebounds, I think has been, absolutely incredible this year. I mean, this game has got blowout kind of written all over it. Now, hopefully, Kansas, their minds aren't elsewhere, right? And we were at the press conference, and Shea Wildeberg kept on asking guys like, "Hey, what's your plans for Christmas?" Everybody's planning on going home, asking them what their Christmas lists are and different kinds of things like that from Shea. So, Bill Self was asked about that, about if he thinks it could be a distraction, and he said, "Yeah, certainly it could be a distraction, right?" I mean that's a lot of guys, no matter how much you want to avoid that, it's always going to be lurking in the back of their minds of like, hey, I want to go back home and visit my family. I mean, it's been a long semester for these guys. So Kansas can't get caught off guard, I think. And Davidson could get hot early from 3, right? Again, Kansas has the number 1 defense on the 3-point line, but teams also can get hot, right? And I don't know what you can necessarily attribute that to. First shot defense has been a point of emphasis for Coach Self, saying that this is one of the best first shot defenses he's ever had at his time at Kansas. And maybe it's the length, maybe it's the pressure that they're applying on the 3-point line, or maybe just Kansas has been able to get some lucky breaks and teams haven't been able to get hot from 3. Who knows, right? Because Kansas has still maintained that line of every single team has shot under 30%, right? They're holding teams to 24% from the 3-point line. That's Davidson's kind of bread and butter, right? They're not good down low. They're not great in driving. They're good at 3-point shots, and they don't take them a lot. So this Davidson team is an okay team, again, with a lot of history behind them with Steph Curry, and Davidson has made a couple of runs here and there. But at the same time, this game just has blowout kind of written all over it.
I think that there are a lot of guys who aren't going to be shy about getting some shots up. This Davidson team, not as strong as they've been in the past, as you alluded to. In the preseason Atlantic 10 poll, Davidson picked 10th in the 14-team league. Now, again, the great equalizer is the 3-point shot. A lot of guys are going to step out and try to connect. And Kansas, we'll see if they can continue their strong streak of limiting in a big way opponent three-point field goal percentage. By the way, I want to clear the air on Washington State before I forget. So it's still the Pac-12,
Still
which is
Pac-12.
still the Pac-2,
Yeah.
but they are playing a West Coast conference schedule.
Sure.
So the Gonzagas, the San Franciscos, the Loyola Marymount's of the world, and then the Mountain West teams that I mentioned, they're going to be joining the new Pac-12 in Washington State and Arizona and Oregon State, rather. Boise State,
That's
Colorado
right.
State,
so it'll
Fresno
still be
State.
the Pac-12.
Yeah, Utah State,
But
San
it's
Diego
going
State.
to be the Mountain West, but essentially, they're changing their name.
Essentially. So who knows? The way of the world is definitely changing. But yeah, Davidson basketball, they're going to be synonymous with excitement because of Steph Curry, always a guy who really changed the game of basketball. And Kansas, thankfully, was able to get him in the Elite Eight because that was a scary one. That was Bill Self's first Final Four, got the monkey off his back after multiple Elite Eight losses back in 2008. That was the first of now 2 times that it was solely 1 seeds in the Final Four, and Kansas, of course, knocked off North Carolina and Memphis for Coach's first national championship. KU and Davidson tonight at 7. Crimson and Blue Show, Sports Radio 810 WHB starts at 5:30. More coming up on Rock Chalk Sports right after this. We'll be right back on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Going to bring on Nick Springer here very shortly from the Kansas City Sports Network. First, got to tell you, though, about Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. They've got a cozy man-like setting out in West Lawrence off Wakarusa. This is a full-fledged medical clinic where you can go in and be treated essentially like family. They do a 3-step process involving a quick blood draw. They've got in-house labs that can analyze results in less than 20 minutes. They do a thorough consult with a provider specialist to help you get to the top of your game. First visit takes less than an hour, and the best part about visit number 1, completely complimentary. Game Day Men's Health Lawrence, really appreciate Mitch Bales and their partnership over there. Make the decision today. If you're struggling with anything from an energy standpoint, low testosterone, ED, anything, go to Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Tell them the guys at Rock Chalk Sports sent you, and you won't regret it. A lot of guys are affected by this, particularly as we get older, and want to make sure that you take care of that and are feeling like the best version of yourself. All right, let's get into this now. Nick Springer joins it from Kansas City Sports Network. Nick, thanks for coming on, talking a little Chiefs and, of course, some KU news as well. We've got a little bit of transfer portal stuff that want to get your take on. Let's start with hoops, though. I was really impressed. I don't know how you felt in the game last week. We won't spend too much time because a lot's happened since then. But it seemed to me like a typical trap game for Kansas, right? Because you go and you win emotional game on the road against NC State. You come home, no disrespect to Towson, but kind of a ho-hum game on the schedule. And Kansas really got out to an early lead. I think it was 13-3. And, again, the defense has just been so impressive.
Yeah, really strong win for KU. Obviously, Darren Peterson didn't play, so that was a bit of a bummer. But overall, really good game for them. And the one thing that stuck out to me was Bill Self was pretty adamant in his pregame press conference leading up to that game that he felt like the offense was too slow. And when you hear that, you think, okay, well, then they're going to shoot quicker. No, that's not exactly what he's talking about. It's how you move, right? It's the speed of the ball. How quickly are you moving around? And it seemed like that message got through because I thought KU's offense did flow a lot smoother in that game against Towson. I'm still a little worried about this back and forth between, hey, here's the offense without Darren Peterson, here's the offense with Darren Peterson, because he's such a gigantic force, and obviously he will control the ball when he's out there, that this KU team, they almost have to play 2 different styles of offense when he's not on the court versus when he is on the court. And so if that continues to be a theme of like game to game, he's available, not available, whatever it may be, that I think that could potentially negatively impact the offense overall. But I think the counter argument to that, and I'm sure what Bill Self would say, is the personnel doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you know, if you're moving quick, if you're playing with speed, if you're playing fast, if the ball's not sticking, you'll be successful regardless of, you know, who's out there. And so we saw a little bit of that against Towson. Obviously, Melvin Counsell, it was good to see him continue to carry over what he did against NC State. Obviously, I don't think you can expect him to just turn into a 20 points per game guy, but certainly was good to see him continue.
He's not going to hit 9 threes every
Yeah,
time?
He thinks
probably.
he could be 20 points per game.
Yeah.
Probably not. But, you know, Flory had a strong game as well. Tiller also did well. My biggest concern, I think, also beyond that is just, and this goes back to the NC State game too, is that KU doesn't have much going off their bench at the moment, especially if you have insert Darren Peterson into the lineup. You know, that bumps some guys around. But would love to see a Jaden Dawson get going. Would love to see Jamar McDowell continue what Jamar McDowell's actually been great. But, Elmarco Jackson has played double-digit minutes and has not been scoring really.
Rosario,
in the past couple games.
Yeah.
Rosario as well. So that, I guess, would be the biggest issue for me at the moment is – and also, on top of that, your game against Davidson tonight is going to be the last opportunity for some of those bench guys to probably get some extended time to build a little bit of confidence before you get to conference play. So that's something to keep an eye on, I think. Obviously, Darren Peterson, we'll see. They'll non-committal about his status. So, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw, but the availability reports starting in conference play are going to be something to pay close attention to for Kansas.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you'll put out one the night before the game, and you'll have to put out another one 90 minutes before the game. So once we get to conference play, it should be a lot easier to know what Darren Peterson's status is going to be because KU's going to have to put out those availability reports. Now, I will say this, though. In football, I hated the availability reports because nobody is honest. So it's also just possible that nobody's going to be honest on basketball either, and maybe it's just, it's totally irrelevant. So I don't know. But something I would just say the availability reports in basketball for Kansas, I think, for KU fans are a little bit more intriguing than they otherwise would be if you're just a fan of any other team. So something to watch.
Well, we are pre-recording the show today, so if something does come out in the next couple hours, that's kind of become a theme with DP is there's a statement released. I don't know if that'll happen today or not, but we have to see. One thing that you brought up that I want to revisit a little bit, and I'm sure both of you have noticed this trend. The game against Towson, you mentioned Flory Badunga was strong, but look at the line of Trey White, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and no turnovers. The trend I'm referring to, Trey White has been awesome when Darren Peterson has not played. When Darren Peterson has played, like you look the game, particularly against NC State and I want to say it was the UNC game. I might have missed that one. He hasn't been as strong. So I think there's probably something to that. I could be reading into it, but it is a trend right now. Have you noticed that? Anything you think to get Trey to be more consistent? Because when he's good, he's really good.
Yeah, I think what you're pinpointing there is that with Darren Peterson's going to have the ball in his hands. Without Darren Peterson, that opens up more opportunities for other guys to have the ball. And what do we know about Trey White? He's really good at drawing fouls. What do you have to do to draw a foul? You have to have the ball.
Yeah.
you have to dribble. You have to have the ball. So that's probably, I think, part of it is that he's just a guy that, with what he's been doing so far at Kansas in terms of being an effective player at driving and drawing fouls, you have to have the ball to do that. And with Darren Peterson, again, because of his skill set and because of the type of player that he demands the ball in his hands, a certain amount of time. And obviously, when he's not out there, that opens things up. So maybe that's part of it, I think, as well. And I think Trey White also is a guy that maybe understands his role a little bit. I've talked to him several times, and he's, I think, kind of illustrated this in some of what he said, in that, I think he's somebody that just understands what he needs to do on a game-to-game basis for Kansas. And I think that comes down to him maybe recognizing when Darren Peterson's on the floor, I don't need to be a go-to guy as much, versus when he's not on the floor, I need to step up, right? Because Trey White is the most experienced player on this roster, quite frankly, in terms of college basketball experience. So I think that probably plays into it. But yeah, also I would look without having paid super close attention to that. I would say, in order to draw fouls, you have to have the ball.
Yeah.
And when Darren Peterson's not out there, that opens up more opportunities for Trey White to have the ball.
Nick Springer, KCSN, Pay Heat Podcast, joins the show here in studio. Nick, I asked Shreyas about this last week. I'm curious to know what your take is, because the running joke between us was everybody was talking about Cole Rosario, but what they were saying was nobody is talking about Cole Rosario, right? Now, nobody's talking about Cole Rosario, right? He's getting like 7 minutes a game. When he's out there, he's good, right? But he's a little bit of an offensive liability. Just the game still feels a little too fast for him. And with the starting five right now, you feel super confident, especially I'm including Darren Peterson, right? You got DP, Melvin, and Trey at those guard positions. Do you see a world where Cole Rosario gets back into the starting lineup, or do you think that his role is kind of, he's in limbo right now, kind of 7-minute purgatory, if you will?
Well, I would say I don't know that he would get back in the starting lineup, because I think the starting lineup when everybody's healthy, is going to be Darren Peterson with Melvin Council and then Trey White, Tiller, and Flory.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably just what you're going to go with. That's probably the starting lineup, really, I would say, when everybody's fully healthy. The thing about Cole Rosario is, and the reason why I will never quit on Cole Rosario is Cole Rosario does a lot of the things that Bill Self likes. He is a hustle guy. He is somebody that is going to be aggressive. He's somebody that's going to put his body on the floor. He's somebody that's going to do that really tries to do a lot of those little things. And so has he been shooting the ball poorly? Yes. Has he been shooting the ball badly? Yes. But he does a lot of those things. And so because of that, I feel pretty confident that Self is going to continue to offer him opportunities to get on the floor, and that hopefully eventually the shooting aspect does start to click for him at some point. So that's where I'm at with him. Like, do I think he's going to be, in preseason, maybe it was like, oh, maybe Cole Rosario is like ends up being like one of your top perimeter guys and ends up being like third on the team in scoring or fourth on the team. Like, that's probably not going to happen now. But I'm confident that he still has an opportunity to have a role because of the fact that he has proven and has shown that he will do the things that Bill Self likes. And because of that, I think he'll definitely continue to get opportunities. It just becomes a matter of, can he start to hit those shots? And obviously, he had a very meteoric rise. In February and March of this year, nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, by April, he's offered by every top program in the country. And by June, he's one of the hottest prospects, and he ends up coming to Kansas. And obviously ended up starting at Kansas. And I think a big reason why he ended up earning the starting job is because of the fact that he did do a lot of those other things that Bill Self likes. And also, he's a very athletic player. The question just becomes, does the shooting part of it click for him at some point? And if it does, all of a sudden he becomes a very valuable piece. And I think it's the exact same conversation with Cole Rosario that it is with Jaden Dawson. If the shooting starts to click, one of those guys or both those guys become one of your most valuable bench pieces in terms of scoring, because we've seen this Kansas team in the past in recent memory. Bill Self in 2023 said constantly how KU had the best starting five in the country. Well, they got hurt. They had nobody behind them, and things fell apart. So you'd like to see a little bit more depth being built, and it revolves around those guys, I think, turning into guys that can come off the bench and score.
Yeah, and I need to revisit those two guys you mentioned, because Jaden Dawson came here to be a shooter and a scorer. Kansas needs that. They do. Cole Rosario, a freshman, obviously he doesn't have the years on him, not quite as long in the tooth as Dawson, but he's still got big expectations coming in. Regarding Rosario, and this isn't a stab at Dawson, but I have a little bit more confidence in Rosario moving forward just because it seems like he infiltrates himself into the game a little bit more. And you guys, I'm sure, have seen The Sandlot. I was really disappointed when I was doing post-game on Tuesday. Did I bring this up to you?
No.
So I brought this up with David and Steve Kincaid post-game. And by the way, I think one of them hadn't seen The Sandlot.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like, how is this possible?
I haven't seen it in many years.
Yeah, but you've seen it.
And
there's a quote from Scotty Small's mom when she wants Scotty to go out and make new friends, and she says, basically get into trouble, like go out, get dirty, scrape up your knees, climb fences, whatever, just get into trouble. I brought that up because Cole Rosario made me think of that quote for some reason, because it's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Of course. It's one of the only movies you've
ever
seen.
And Rosario
that makes sense.
Was one of 6 from the field, and he hasn't shot well all season, but he never disappears out there. Look at what he did. He had 5 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds. He had an assist, and he fouled somebody 4 times. Like, go hit somebody. See, that's what I like about his game. And I don't know if that makes sense at all, but
that's what Self likes.
Yeah, he never disappears out there. And there are guys, we've had guys, as every program has, that just kind of disappear. Rosario's attacking the basket. He's doing something. Is he making his shots right now? No. But he's doing – if you're not going to make your shots, go hit somebody. Go do something. And that's what I like about his game. And hopefully moving forward, he'll continue to do that and hit his shots. And he's the type of guy that I think he'll get it to where he can get to the free throw line, maybe see the ball go in. We know how high-flying he is, too, for finishing dunks. So I just want to kind of get that in, because I have confidence in him, and we need to see more production from the bench, including guys like Dawson as well. So what
So-
makes Kansas so good defensively? It was the other thing I was going to ask you.
Okay, yeah, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Two counter arguments to everything you just said.
'Kay.
Number one, Jaden Dawson's started the season hurt, so I
Yeah.
think that you buy him some grace there. And number two, you're forgetting a big part of this equation, which is Jamar McDowell's just been good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's
good.
good.
No,
Right.
that's right.
He's just good. He is
Yeah.
just simply
been a
good
solid
at
player.
his role.
Yeah.
And as long as he continues to be good, Cole Rosario and Jaden Dawson aren't going to play as much
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Jamar McDowell
Fair.
is just good at what he does. So that's another part of that equation that I don't think much people are talking about, is that when you talk about a guy that just simply comes in, knows his role, and is doing it at a high level,
And
it's
hits a
Jamar-
three.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Jamar
hit a three
McDowell.
when you
Right.
need it, yeah.
So obviously he's not an athlete like Cole Rosario is. He's maybe doesn't have the same length like a Jaden Dawson, the same size, but he's doing those things at a higher level right now. So I think he's another part of that equation. Yeah, I think with the defense, with Bill Self, I think is in classic Bill Self fashion, talks about the defense saying, well, we're okay, we're fine, but we could be good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Flory Badunga plays a big factor in that with what he's been able to do. We've seen Kansas do a lot of switching, which has, I think, been effective, right? I mean, UConn runs a very, very excellent offensive system, and Kansas did about as good of a job as you could do for 38 minutes switching against them. A couple bad switches in the last 2 minutes ultimately cost them probably the game, truthfully, which is really a bummer because they played great beyond that. But yeah, I mean, I think Bill Self has gone out, and he's not been shy about this. He's been stating it publicly for a while that this iteration of Kansas needs to be a defensive-first team, right?
Yeah.
And it makes sense when you have guys like Flory Badunga who can be a shot blocker, when you have a Trey White who wants to guard the opponent's best player, when you have Melvin Council, who's just an outright dog, when you have a Darren Peterson, who I think when Darren Peterson's out there, he arguably may be one of your best defenders, right? So I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is just that Bill Self wanting this team to be a defensive first team, and it makes sense with his philosophy. He's said it many times over the years that you can play a C game, but if you make your opponent play a C- game, you're going to win. And the way you do that is with defense.
Yeah, 100%. Nick Springer joins us here in studio from KCSN, the Pay Heat podcast. Nick, wanted to flip it over to football side of things. Biggest news that we've
like that
seen.
little,
Yeah, it's the old
Flipperooski.
Flipperooski.
Yeah,
The old
there you
switcheroo.
go. Love it.
KU football as of right now.
Who?
One team,
know.
one chant.
Yeah.
Who?
We've been losing a lot of guys now. Okay, and we've talked about this, right? It feels like you're losing a lot of guys.
Stop the bus.
We can't
Stop
get
the bus.
anybody in. I understand.
Here, I need to explain something just off the top here about that. The NCAA has changed the transfer portal.
Yes.
Okay. With the new portal, it doesn't open until January 2nd, right?
Yeah.
What that has created is an environment where during this time period, all of the news is bad.
all of it. Yeah.
Everybody, it's all
'Cause we
news
can't
of
reach
people
out to guys yet,
intending
yeah.
to enter the transfer portal. So it's all bad, right? In the previous iterations of the transfer portal, the past couple seasons, in the more of like the Wild Wild West version, it was okay because it was, oh, this guy's transferring. Oh, but this guy's visiting. Oh, this guy's transferring. Oh,
Yeah.
commitment here. Oh, it was both ways.
You get it back and forth. Yeah.
People think the sky is falling right now because all the news is bad.
Right.
On January 2nd, that will change because the transfer portal will actually open, and you'll start to see transfers out of the portal, visiting Kansas, committing to Kansas, and obviously every other school across the country. So
Yeah.
if you are absolutely losing your mind thinking, oh my God, Kansas football does not have a team anymore, it's going to be okay. I promise. Take a
Yeah.
step off the ledge. It's fine. I understand, but it really has more to do with the calendar that the NCAA has put in place now, to where this time period has just turned into all negative news.
Yeah.
And so I would just preface everything with that.
For sure. Yeah. It's all bad right now because Kansas literally can't get anybody unless they're a D2 guy like Jabril Condi, who
But
you know,
again, that
could be a lot of fun.
again, that's happening all over the country.
100%.
So it's not just KU.
No,
but-
you're absolutely right. And even with all the bad news, right, it's not as bad as it probably could have been, right? There's a lot of guys who Kansas is maintaining, at least for what we know. I saw recently
Well, yeah.
Taylor Davis has re-signed, Jalen Todd has re-signed their contracts
Right.
back with Kansas. But Kansas has lost a couple of big guys, most notably in terms of guys who played with Lyric Rawls. But I wanted to ask you about a guy who just recently got in the portal on December 9th, or intending to get in the portal on December 9th.
Allegedly.
Right.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Oh, no, this is not alleged. This is full-blown intention.
Oh, yeah. No, he's for sure in. But
it's allegedly that
not
there's an
in
intention.
yet. But Dave McComb,
Yeah.
that was a guy who everyone was super high on. And, going into this offseason, if you were going to maintain your quarterback room the kind of the way it was, you're thinking Kansas could get a quarterback in the portal, but they don't really need it because
Well, Lance Leipold, actually, just to cut you off, Lance Leipold literally said in his press conference 2 weeks ago, we are not getting a transfer portal. Like he basically verbatim said that.
Right.
Now, obviously, that was before David McComb intends to enter the transfer portal. So I would assume now that could change.
Yeah, I'm going to say, now you almost need one, right? Now there was rumblings about Isaiah Marshall. Nothing has come out about that yet. I think that David McComb has left. I had
Allegedly,
a conversation with Shreyas. Intends to leave. Isaiah Marshall is more likely to stay and stick around just because he feels better about the competition in the quarterback room. But your overall thoughts in terms of David McComb leaving, because this is the kind of guy who had, illustrious career, bowl-winning Kansas quarterback, on his resume for years to come, and we just never got to see it.
I have a lot of thoughts. The first thought I will say is this. When you look at Lance Leipold and his tenure at Kansas, compared to across the country, he has been, by and large, very good at retaining players.
Yeah.
Kansas has not had any real big players enter the transfer portal. And in fact, if you look at this season in particular, you just mentioned it, if you are a social media super sleuth, I think you could read between the lines and say that Leroy Harris is coming back. He made some posts on Instagram. Cam Pickett is coming back. If you were to make a big board of guys that Kansas absolutely needed to retain for this offseason,
Leroy's the top.
Leroy Harris and Cam Pickett are in the top five.
Top two, yeah.
And Jalen Todd is probably right there as well.
Yeah.
Right? The only name that is I guess what you would consider to still be up in the air would be Trey Lathan. I think he's another guy that you would want back. But if you were to just say who are the top 5 guys that Kansas absolutely needs to keep, Leroy Harris, Cam Pickett, Jalen Todd are all 3 in your top 5. And as you mentioned, those 3 guys seemingly are going to be returning.
Yeah.
So in terms of retention, I actually think Lance Leipold has done a really good job. And on top of that, when you look at guys that have left Kansas, how many guys have gone on to be better or gone on to have really strong careers? If you really think about it, it's basically 2 guys.
Yeah.
Armajay Reed-Adams, who obviously was starting at Texas A&M and went to the College Football Playoff this year.
That's right.
And shout out to Henry Greenstein for pointing this out. Stephen McBride was a wide receiver who transferred out and went to Hawaii and had a 1,000-yard season in the following season. Okay, but Stephen McBride at the time, you would not have even considered that to be a big loss at the time when he entered the transfer portal. No offense to Stephen McBride.
Didn't know that. Yeah.
So what the point is that in this era of college football, you are going to have minimum every year double-digit players transfer out, right? Double-digit players transfer out.
For sure.
Okay? You just have to accept that reality. But when you really look at what Kansas has done and what players have ended up transferring out of KU, many of them have not gone on to have fantastic careers at other places. So did those end up being significant losses for Kansas? No, basically. Besides Armajay Reed-Adams. Armajay Reed-Adams would have been immediately starting, right guard instead of Amir Herring for this iteration of KU in 2025.
Sure.
Now, with that being said, Kansas also has had now several pretty big losses that are pretty big potential losses to guys intending to get into the transfer portal this offseason. You mentioned David McComb. John Kamara would be the other one that I would mention as a guy that huge. Got some early playing time and was maybe the best athlete on the team and somebody that you were hopefully relying on taking a step forward.
I compared him to Cole Rosario, weirdly.
John Kamara?
Yeah, he's a freak athlete, but just not there yet, I think.
Yeah, maybe. It's possible.
It's a weird connection, but that was the best connection I can make in my brain.
As it pertains to David McComb, there are, I think, a few lines of thought you can take with David McComb. The first and foremost is, as you mentioned, if you were to build a quarterback in 2025, you'd want him to be 6'4", 220 pounds, can make every throw. Oh, wait, that's David McComb. So he, on paper, looks like a guy that would be stepping into a situation where he could be your, quarterback, right? Now, that being said, obviously didn't get a chance to play this season. We'll see what happens. But the other aspect of this is, listen, we used to do a segment on Rock Chalk Sports Talk called Reckless Speculation.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a little bit of reckless speculation on my part. I think if you were to look at this and try to spin zone it in a way that it doesn't seem as negative for Kansas, if KU, if Jim Zabrowski, if Matt Lubick, if they were getting together this offseason and saying, hey, our offense, we want to gear it more towards the run game. We want to gear it more towards utilizing our quarterback in the run game. That's how we envision our offense moving forward. Then the loss of David McComb is not that significant because he wouldn't win the starting job in that scenario, right? Isaiah Marshall and Cole Ballard are both guys that can be more effective as runners, and if you're wanting to lean into that aspect of your offense, running more option, whatever it may be, then it would be irrelevant that David McComb transfers out because he wasn't going to win the starting job anyways. Now, if they headed into this offseason and said, you know what, we want to do exactly what we did in 2024 and 2025. We want to stick with that same offense, the offense we have with Jalen Daniels. Then that would hurt a little bit more because I think David McComb would be the better fit if that's the type of offense you want to run, where you're going to rely on your quarterback to make a lot of throws like Kansas did with Jalen Daniels this year. So it really kind of comes down to that. And it's a significant loss. Also, I shouldn't say significant loss. It is a noteworthy loss because of the fact that this is the first time under Lance Leipold that you will have a legitimate open quarterback competition for the starting job, okay? Under Lance Leipold, it's always been Jalen Daniels, right? So because of that, that's what makes this more noteworthy, is that David McComb was absolutely going to be in that competition. No doubt about it. Was he going to win it? Can't really say one way or the other, right? But it's a noteworthy loss because of that aspect of it. Now, as you mentioned with the transfer portal, Kansas is not going to be able to go out and get a bona fide transfer portal quarterback that's going to start, okay? I would look at what K-State did a couple years ago, actually, with the transfer from UConn. I'm blanking on his name, who was a backup quarterback for them. They brought him in behind Avery Johnson. He had started at UConn previously, so he had experience, and he came in and backed up Avery Johnson, ended up getting into a game for them, I think, against Colorado. That's maybe the caliber of player that you might add from the transfer portal for Kansas. A guy that has maybe started at a lower level.
Taquan Roberson.
Taquan Roberson, thank you. I couldn't think of his name. I'm glad you have a computer in front of you.
Right.
Taquan Roberson was a starter at UConn, went to K-State, ended up being a backup behind Avery Johnson. But the point being is that's probably the caliber of quarterback I think you would look at if you're Kansas in the transfer portal. And I would also just say one more thing. We just went through this song and dance with basketball last offseason with Flory Badunga, who was going to go into the portal and then end up coming back.
Right.
I'm not saying David McComb will come back. I'm not saying that's something that is going to happen, but I wouldn't in 1,000% rule it out, basically. Sure. But the point being is that you're going to bring in somebody else. If it's not David McComb coming back, if it's going to be a transfer portal quarterback, it's going to be somebody on the cheaper side that's going to have to be in the competition with Isaiah Marshall and Cole Ballard. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. We'll see how things unfold, right? I mean, I kind of get the sense that this is going to be a quarterback competition into fall camp. So we're talking, 8 months from now, we're still going to be talking about who the quarterback for KU is going to be. And so we'll see how it unfolds. But the other thing about this, I will just add one more final little thought on this, is Kansas is not in a spot, I don't think, where they can afford to just break the bank to go get a starting caliber transfer quarterback. They need that money to fill other spots on their roster.
100%.
They need to be able to have enough money to fill out other areas on the roster. I don't think Kansas is not in a position as a program right now to say, hey, you know what? Brandon Sorsby, as an example, or fill in the blank Power 5 transfer.
Sam Levitt.
Here's $1.5 million. Here's $2 million. You're our starting quarterback. I don't think Kansas is in a position to do that. They need that money to be able to ensure up their roster in other ways. And so that's where I think you'll see that play into it, where Kansas, again, may have to go out and look for somebody who was a Group of 5 starter, somebody who was at that level, who has experience, who could come in and compete for the starting job and not be as expensive for Kansas, because I think they're going to need that money elsewhere if they want to be a competitive team in 2026.
And honestly, might not be a bad strategy to spend that money elsewhere, right?
Well,
Because
I mean, I would say this. Look at Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss was at Ferris State.
Yeah, that's right.
So there are
D2 powerhouse.
look at what Texas Tech spent their money on this past offseason.
Yeah,
the guys up front. And
there are diamonds in the rough to be had at every position, right? But at the quarterback position, I think it's if your evaluation is strong enough, and if you are if you do enough on that end, you could potentially be getting a guy that ends up winning your starting job, and who knows from there. So it's obviously it's all up in the air right now. And again, like I said, I'm fully expecting to be sitting here on what's today? December 22nd. On August 22nd, I'm fully expecting to be hitting here in 2026, probably still talking about who the starting quarterback for Kansas is going to be.
Sure.
I honestly think it's probably going to be into fall camp before Kansas figures out who, and maybe even beyond. I don't know.
Yeah. I do have one more. We're running super low on time, but one more quick question is something that you had brought up. With Dave McComb leaving, do you think that's going to force the hand of Lubick and Zabrowski and Leipold to, I guess, make it a more run-heavy? Intending to leave. Well, if Dave McComb does leave, do you think that's going to force the hand? And because that's what we've been begging and pleading for this entire time is I want to see Jalen in the option. I want to see more run play. I want to see more fun run stuff with different, pre-snap motions and almost back to the Kotelnicki days. Is that going to force the hand, or do you think that they're going to stick with kind of the same offensive game plan that they had this year?
Well, that's the thing is I honestly that's a tough question to answer right now. In that I don't know. I would think that they would look at what they did this year offensively and say, hey, we got a bit stale towards the end of the season. There were several games, I think, where it felt like the game plan was Jalen Daniels, go save us. Jalen Daniels, go be great. And there were some games where he played very well and did very, very well. And then there were some games where he really struggled. When you look at K-State, when you look at the Utah game to end the year, but when you look at the Missouri game, he was fantastic.
Right.
And if Emmanuel Henderson makes a catch on fourth down, Kansas may be in a position to go win that game. You look at the Texas Tech game where Jalen Daniels was also fantastic in that game for a good chunk of it before KU kind of just ran out of gas against a really, really talented team,
True.
a team that's going to be probably in the make a run in the college football playoff. So going forward, I don't know. Those are conversations that are going to have to be had with between those guys. Is hey, what did we like that we did offensively in 2025? And what is it that we can carry into 2026? What can we tweak? And again, going back to the quarterback conversation, depending on the skill set of which guy you think may be your starter, that could influence it as well. And also, something else that probably wasn't talked about enough in 2025 is Kansas missed Devin Neal.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, they just missed Devin Neal. Just flat.
We don't talk about that enough.
Daniel Highshaw and LeSean Williams were both quality backs, but they were both hurt, unfortunately in and out of the lineup for a good chunk of the season. But flat out, Kansas just simply missed Devin Neal.
Yeah, and it's okay for us to say that, right? I mean, because
missed a guy that was just that dynamic of a player. So that was
NFL
part of it
player
too.
now.
I think also is you were just missing a guy who'd been your best skill position player outside of quarterback for the past 4 seasons.
Three no doubt. Well, thankfully we don't have time to ask you about the Chiefs because I didn't want to hear it. That could be could be a late night, not so happy hour conversation where we can bemoan what just happened yesterday.
I'll just say this: I am relatively level-headed about where the Chiefs are at.
Yeah, I think most Chiefs fans are kind of taking this in stride. Like, you know what? They need some extra time. They need to reset.
We've had 17 weeks to cope. Okay, so
right.
if you're still really, really upset now, I don't know what else to tell you. You've had 16 weeks.
Right.
To be
by the way,
angry,
are you hitting the panic button yet? I know that throughout the season when the Chiefs would lose, and I would say, hey, I'm concerned. You wouldn't hit.
I'm not hitting.
So
the
now
panic button yet.
they're 6-9. You're not hitting the panic button yet.
I'm not hitting the panic button
You still
yet.
think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, right?
I did tell Dan
maybe.
I did tell Dan some takes that I had that actually aged kind of poorly about the Chiefs, but that's okay.
Really?
On last week's show.
Oh man.
Well,
I think those are your first takes that aged poorly.
Yeah, no, actually almost all of my takes aged poorly. I don't think I've had a single one that's aged well. No, I just told Dan that I wanted the Chiefs to try to keep winning, and that looked bad.
Yeah.
Well, they did not try to win.
If we lose that, we're probably getting a top 10 pick.
I don't care about that. They're going to lose 70. They're going to lose 70-0 on Christmas, probably. So.
Right. In our Case of the Monday segment, and coming up a little bit later on Rockstar Sports. Nick Springer, though, Kansas City Sports Network. Thanks as always for your time. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks, fellas.
More coming up. ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Going to talk a little Chiefs to Kansas here, as we don't want to relive what happened yesterday at Nissan Stadium. Kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Kind of embarrassing. Not going to relive it. Chiefs are 6-9.
Okay, all right, but Chris Oladukin in his first, technically his second, but his first real NFL game, he seemed okay.
But the team in general, it seemed like a team who did not care and who has checked out.
You're absolutely
right. And
right.
they've got the Raiders and the Broncos.
I will say this. 21 out of the 22 starters, yes. Isaiah Pacheco, I thought, looked good.
Yeah, he did play hard. I'll
but
say that.
everybody else no.
Yeah, it's just sad. They're going to tear it down. A lot of guys are impending free agents, and we'll have more coverage on the Chiefs moving forward. And we're going to talk about this Chiefs to Kansas thing that, again, we're pre-recording the show. Very shortly, they're going to have a meeting in Topeka to discuss some potential move.
Reading between the lines, they have a scheduled press conference on the front steps of the Capitol building. I mean,
probably not an accidental location.
They're
for that.
Chiefs are coming to Kansas. Pop your champagne. Do whatever you need to do. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be great. But yeah, we'll get more in depth with this. I have a lot of different pieces on and kind of how Star Bonds works and different stuff like that. But yeah, we'll talk more about it later.
Make sure that you follow us on socials, Kansas Nation. Keep up with everything. You probably have seen, if you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, some photos, some videos of the demolition of the east side of the Kansas, David Booth, Kansas.
Yeah. I'm moonlighting as a photographer.
Yeah, I guess so.
I felt good about that first picture.
But seriously, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, give us a subscription. And yeah, follow us on all of our socials, Kansas Nation at the Kansas Nation. We love interacting with you guys too. We've got polls up there. Of course, Wednesday is our weekly mailbag segment as well. So make sure you hit us up there. And yeah, so we'll talk about this Chiefs Kansas thing a little bit later when more information comes about. Before we hear from Bill Self, next segment, which is going to be in advance of tonight's 7 p.m. tip, non-conference finale, KU and Davidson. I do like the fact that KU doesn't have one of those weird non-conference games in the middle of conference season. I like a clean break.
Yeah,
like the Big 12 SEC Challenge. I just like that we're done with non-conference after tonight against the Davidson team. Kansas
but then
beat.
it is always fun though.
I guess, but it doesn't mean anything by that point. Like whenever we played Kentucky, it was fun because it was Kansas, Kentucky. But like you play Tennessee or somebody, it's like it's like okay, you don't really care because you're 7-3 in the Big 12, and you're still going to be 7-3 in the Big 12 after this. But
she's going to get us dinged up.
Anyway, college football playoff thoughts. James Madison loses to Oregon 51-34, and then the other thing, of course, Group of 5, Tulane gets blitzed by Ole Miss. That's kind of been the big story, is these teams that people don't think were worthy of being in the 12-team playoff getting blown out. But as you and I were talking about before the show, Dan, teams get blown out in this thing every year. And if you look in the history of the college football playoff, obviously the TCU losing by 56 in the national championship game comes out to me. But it's power conference teams who get blown out as well. So I kind of am cheering for the little guy on this front. James Madison did score 34 points. Like I said, that's the most points and the most yards that Oregon's given up all season. Granted, the Ducks still won going away. Your thoughts on this? And then, of course, Alabama over Oklahoma despite being down by 17 early, and Miami over Texas A&M 10-3.
Yeah, so I'll start off with JMU Oregon, and I have a little bit more about this in Case the Mondays, but JMU just played their butts off. I mean, they looked good, right? They had over 350 yards through the air. Oregon hasn't given up that many points all year long, and I mean, it stinks because, which I will say this, by the way, they covered.
There you go.
That's the important thing.
There you go.
They did cover. The spread was 20.5, and they wound up losing by what, 17?
51-34, yep.
So, yeah. So, hey, look at that. Oregon just got off to an incredibly hot start. And I don't want to get it too far into this because I need to – I'm still super hot about it, but just Joel Klatt and Kirk Herbstreit and Nick Saban and – even Josh Pate is getting in on this, talking about how the G5 schools shouldn't be in. Get out of here. Go kick rocks. You know what I mean? I hate that. It stinks that they got boat raced, right? Tulane, Ole Miss wasn't even close. I should have guessed that. I thought that Ole Miss was going to still have their heads in a weird spot because of the whole Lane Kiffin thing. Apparently not. And apparently Pete Golding has done an excellent job at rallying those troops. So Ole Miss, Tulane, that wasn't a fun game to watch. JMU, Oregon was a little fun. It just JMU had a couple of bad things kind of go their way, a couple of bad breaks here and there. The game felt closer than it actually was if you take off that first 10 minutes of the game. And And then, you have Alabama, OU. I thought there was absolutely no way that Alabama was going to lose that game because, A, they were going to be pissed off because OU came into Tuscaloosa and beat them. And John Mateer had like 130 yards and no touchdowns. I think he had a rushing touchdown, but no touchdowns through the air. It was a pick six and a couple of really lucky breaks on the defensive side of the ball for OU that really won them that game in Tuscaloosa. So looking at that, I was like, there's no possible way that Alabama – granted, it wasn't Norman, but Alabama's just the better team. Right, Ty Simpson's so good. Daniel Hill is a fantastic running back. They have such good weapons on the outside. Their defense is phenomenal. And like you said, Alabama was down 17-0, and Alabama just trudged back and managed to win that game. So that was really exciting. Miami, Texas A&M, kind of a stinker, 10-3. That was the first time in CFP history that the score going into halftime was 0-0.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Defense.
Yeah,
real bummer for Texas A&M.
Yeah,
I mean,
huge.
Had a great
I like
season.
Marcel Reed too. Yeah,
They end up losing to Texas to close it out, and then bounced in the first round of the college football playoff. But it sets up all of these finals, some intriguing games. Of course, Oregon, the 5 seed against the 4 seed Texas Tech. Everybody around here is probably cheering for the Red Raiders since they're the lone Big 12 team left. Ole Miss and Georgia, an SEC game in the Sugar Bowl. That's the 6 seed against the 3 seed on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve, how about this classic matchup? I feel like we're in 2002 again. Miami against Ohio State. Miami, the 10 seed, Ohio State, the 2 seed. And then the one that's most intriguing to me, without question, is the 9 seed Alabama and 1 seed Indiana. I get it. Everybody loves Indiana. Everybody's all in on Kurt Signelli and everything the Hoosiers have done. I don't think that's a horribly comfortable matchup.
No.
In the quarterfinals, you get Alabama. You win the Big Ten. You have done everything that you need, and you get Alabama.
So the thing about that is, if this was at Indiana, I'd be like all in on Indiana. But it's going to be played at the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
that
just
could be
don't.
tough.
It's hard for me to get past the Alabama name. And
Sure,
again,
name
I would have said
bias.
the same thing. Indiana, Ohio State, and Indiana beat them to their credit.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, Indiana football, man.
True. I know. It is weird. I will say this. Lines have come out. Indiana's a whole touchdown favorite.
Yeah, I saw it 6.5 or whatever it was.
The scrappy underdog,
Yeah,
Alabama.
right. Yeah, so we're looking at 3 SEC teams right now, and again, 2 of them face off in Ole Miss and Georgia. Miami and Ohio State, again, does that not remind you of the early 2000s?
It does. It really is.
I mean, the Jim Tressel years and you know, Ray Lewis and every important player and coach that was so big back then.
I feel like USC would be somewhere around there too.
Absolutely.
and
Reggie
Notre
Bush,
Dame,
Matt Leinart
LSU.
years. But it should be a lot of fun. New Year's Eve again, like I said, it's 6:30 kick, 10 seed Miami, 2 seed Ohio State. And then 3 games on New Year's Day. Mentioned the Sugar Bowl. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Earlier in the day, Indiana, Alabama is at 3 p.m. And then the 11 a.m. kick is Oregon, Texas Tech, the Capital One Orange Bowl. And like you said, Bama and Indiana is the Rose Bowl game officially. Should be fun. We're going to continue to track that, and we're going to continue to give some game picks as those get closer. Little bit of an off and on schedule, as you guys would expect with Rock Chalk Sports with the holidays, but we'll be back on air tomorrow as well from 4 to 6. Follow us on socials as well for all things KU. We got a game tonight. Dan's going to be live tweeting. We're going to have some live reports as well from Fog Allen Fieldhouse. After this, though, we're going to hear from the Hall of Fame head basketball coach Bill Self in advance of the matchup with the Wildcats. KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Head coach Bill Self was made available to the media yesterday. KU Davidson tonight at 7 o'clock. Sports Radio 810 will have coverage starting at 5:30 with the Crimson and Blue Show. Let's see and hear everything that Bill Self said right now.
Just to ask I'm going to say this, do you like where you are health-wise? With everybody this time of the year?
Well, we've been fortunate because we've only had the one situation from a health standpoint. So do I like where we're at? Yeah, I'd like it a lot more if your best players out there and 100%, we know we're getting close to that. So hopefully we'll be there real soon.
And how's he feeling? Is it just data? I mean, did you get a general feel? Is it any better?
I think he feels better every day. He's moving better. You see him at 70%, And you say, God, he looks pretty good until you see him at 75, until you see him at 80, until you see him at 85. And he's not perfect by any stretch yet, but he's gaining on it every day.
Are you going to try him tomorrow to play?
Well, I'd love to. We'll wait and see how he does today and how he feels. But the situation is, and I've said it all along, when he's ready, he's ready. So we'll just wait and see how that goes.
And your first Final Four run, you had to go through the Davidson team back in 2008. Does that bring back any memories when they're coming here? I know it's a long time, different team, difference.
There's that memory, but there's also the memory in Kansas City. They beat us in Kansas City a couple years after that, if I'm not mistaken. What was it, about 3 years after that, something like that? So yeah, I'll remember the Elite Eight game more from a play-by-play standpoint than the one later on. But yeah, they got us in Kansas City right after that. And if I'm not mistaken, one of their better players was a Kansas City resident that went to school out there. So hopefully we won't let them get as comfortable as we did then.
Have you seen Steph Curry since then, since the game?
Have I seen him? I've seen a lot on NBA TV and all that stuff. Have I talked to him? I don't know that I have, but I know him, but not in a way that I don't remember if I've ever said anything to him about that game.
And what stands out about this Davidson team? Anything that they could have some problems with?
Yes, because they'll run motion, and motion with teams that are really good at it are the easiest to prepare for, but the hardest to play, because every defensive coverage dictates what the offense does. So you can simulate it in practice all you want to, but it's hard to create it if you know that they go ball side every time is a bump and fade. If you know if they guard down screens this way every time they're doing something else. It all depends on basically how the defense reacts to their actions. And that's one reason why Coach Knight was so ahead of his time, was they ran motion better than anybody. And how do you prepare for it in practice? Well, look to curl the screen. Well, that's fine until you go ball side the screen, then they bump and fade it, and then you have a totally different scenario. But they're good at what they do.
Bill, I know you said you were excited with the possibility of the NBA Cup being here at Allen Fieldhouse. Have you guys had discussions at all with the NBA about that?
Have we had any discussions with the NBA Cup coming to Allen Fieldhouse? No.
And then,
but to be honest with you, why wouldn't they want to come here? Good gosh, if they're going to try to play in historic college venues, why wouldn't the NBA want to be here? I know KD said at one time that this was the best place that he'd ever played. So I don't know if that still holds true, but I would think that would be a great option.
and with the court, obviously they change the court typically. Would you want them to keep the original Allen Fieldhouse court? Or
God Almighty!
Yeah.
I mean, if the sun, if the sky is green tomorrow and the grass is blue, why would you think waking up? I mean, that's about as hypothetical as I've ever heard.
I know a lot of fans that talk about wanting to keep the original court if they do come to.
Fans are talking about that. I would say whatever would most put us in a position for us to host, I think we would be totally happy and content with doing whatever the NBA wanted us to do if we could get that.
Does this one game determine whether you had a great non-conference season, a bad one, an average one? And what would you think if you did win and go 10-3?
I think from a record standpoint, considering we played, 8 of those games without DP, so far. From a record standpoint, I think that would be a good record based on the quality of schedule. This is one game, tip the scale one way or another. I don't know if it does totally, but I will tell you this, 10-3 sounds a heck of a lot better than 9-4. So to me, this is a very important game.
And it matters because the team leaves for Christmas?
Well, yeah, I think anytime you have a break in games, you want the last one to be a good taste in your mouth, so you don't have that negative taste for 2 straight weeks or whatever. So, and turkey and ham and your Christmas fixings will taste a little bit better if we're successful tomorrow.
Do you find this time of year, a crazy question, like holidays and family, and do you delegate that to someone and you just do this, or is it more, if that makes sense?
To delegate it from a program standpoint?
No, well,
or from a
everything,
personal standpoint?
Maybe both, just like kids, and I know you got.
Well, Cindy will handle, she's going to get the brunt of handling everything.
Right.
So this is actually a good time to be at work, so she can be handling all that stuff. But I do think that it can be a distraction, more so for the players than anybody, because right now, everybody wants to go home. We've played some of the worst games we've ever played on the road the game before Christmas. Y'all remember at Villanova, at Temple? I mean, good. Of course, they were both in Philly. Maybe that was the reason. But we were awful. And I think a big part of that was in Reno. Sean, you'll remember in Reno when we go out there the game before Christmas and Nevada put a knot on our head. The guys they all want to be with their families. Everybody wants to. The students are all gone, and that's fine for a couple of days. But after a couple of days, everybody wants to get to where they're going to have Christmas. So, yes, it is. But it's the same way with Davidson. It's the same way with every team in the country. So.
And do you still, even at your age, not age, but
at
this point in time, do you still find yourself getting excited for this time of year?
I still believe in Santa Claus. So absolutely, I find myself at my ripe age, as you put it, to be excited this time of year.
Does Darren practice the whole time?
Yeah, he practices the whole time. Yeah, he does.
Could you comment on the report today about Joe Dooley?
It's accurate. And I put out a statement. I don't know if you guys got it. So I'll stand by the statement. There's really not much else to say because it just recently occurred. But that's where we're at. We'll deal with it. He'll deal with it. We'll address it and make the most of it.
All right, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, not surprising that Coach Self got asked about Darren Peterson. That's probably going to continue, right? We're going on however many weeks it is. Hopefully DP suits up tonight and is able to get, in Dan's opinion, about 15 minutes.
Yeah. He also said that he does believe in Santa Claus still.
Well, who doesn't?
So, I know. Yeah, that was a great question by a good friend of the show, Shea Wilbur.
Yes. I have seen Santa Claus myself, so obviously.
No kidding.
I have.
The red suit and the beard and everything.
What do you think he was wearing?
I don't know. Maybe it was his off day. Maybe he's wearing a Hawaiian. When did you see him? In
Hawaiian
December or
shirt?
July?
Right. That's true. You think
he wears that every day?
He could have been in the trenches.
You don't know.
Up top. Anyway, yeah, Bill Self speaking yesterday in advance of tonight, KU and Davidson. Want to be a big shout out to Crown Automotive, Miles Schneer and everybody over in your neck of the woods, South Iowa. Right?
I actually live in the Crown. The
district.
Yeah, no, I live in the building.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
how about that?
I sleep in a Toyota Camry at night.
There you go.
Surprisingly roomy and surprisingly comfortable. But yeah,
Dan's
I am over there in that neck of the
Dan's
woods.
house is over there. Just knock on all the doors until you see him, or
Yeah.
hear his dogs barking and
Knock
jumping.
on every my
Yes.
my dog.
Everybody likes being greeted by jumping, barking dogs when they walk. in.
Sean, by the way, that's a bit that's gone by the wayside. I need to bring that up more. Sean hates dogs. You know this, right?
I don't hate dogs.
Sean hates them.
I just
He doesn't like
if they're
dogs who what?
shed, bark, or jump.
And what do all dogs
That's
do?
not true. I'm just saying they're messy. Like I'll be going on a run or something, and
Charlie's
a
a great
dog
guy.
will
You met him.
Scare the bejesus out of me because they'll
You met Charlie.
bark.
You
I
liked
have met
him.
Charlie. Yeah, he's nice. He's a nice
Good
guy.
I'll introduce you to Mac.
Nice guy. It sounds
He's
like
hell on
sounds like I
wheels.
do not want to be introduced to Mac. But Crown Automotive partners with us over here at Kansas Nation. Shout out to Miles and his team over there. After this, it's our Case of the Monday segment coming up on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, and ESPN Kansas City. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright back with you. Another edition of Rock Chalk Sports here on another game day. We're not going to have a game day in a long time, man.
I know.
Did you talk last week about Nebraska volleyball?
I did.
losing.
I mentioned it that they had lost. And
It's crazy. One of
the-
the sets was 37-35.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I did see. So did you see beforehand? Their big girl. Oh gosh, she has the glasses. I blanking on her name. but
Yes.
Before
Rebecca Alec.
Yes, Rebecca Alec. Before the Texas A&M game, she said, "Oh yeah, well this upcoming game is going to be a great win for us for momentum."
Yeah,
And
well,
then-
and she was previewing Texas and how wanted Texas. Yeah, can't,
Yeah,
can't
and
overlook
it's
anybody.
like,
A&M wins the national championship. So
Shout
yeah.
out.
Case of the Mondays for Nebraska and all the Nebraska fans that were in Kansas City.
That's right.
February.
Hey, by the way, speaking of game day men's health right here in Lawrence. I want to talk to all the men right now. How are you feeling? You know, is everything, all the gears turning, all the lights turning on and off, right? As we get older, some things start to happen, and looking out for your health is really the most important thing. Are you ready to take on the world every day? You know, do you have the energy and the drive to get up, to go to the gym, go to work, take care of your family? If you do, that's awesome, right? But a lot of guys, it's kind of a daily struggle, right? So, you know, a lot of guys have, you know, a lack of motivation, lack of energy. They're tired all the time. They have a lack of sex drive. They have a hard time keeping weight off no matter how hard you work out. That's normal. Happens for a lot of guys, but imagine a new normal where you're functioning like you used to in your younger years. Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence is here to get you back in the game. Whether you are chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or just want to feel your best, Game Day Lawrence keeps you going with customized, expert-backed care. 50% of men, they'll have low testosterone by the time they're 40, and 60% of all men will struggle with some form of erectile dysfunction at some time in their life. It's okay. Like I said, it's normal, and there's good news. If you want to do something about it, you don't have to put it off anymore. Game Day Men's Health, they treat a number of different common issues with men like low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, peptide, vitamin therapies, and more. The second you walk into Game Day, you will feel the sports-like environment. It is a man cave-like setting. It is a cozy man cave-like setting, greeted by a fun and energetic staff. Their signature 3-step process involves a quick blood draw in-house labs, analyze your results in 20 minutes, and then followed by a thorough consult with their provider specialist to explore a myriad of programs and treatments to get you back to the top of your game. Best thing is, first time you go in there, get your blood drawn, it's free, complimentary. Well, what more can you can't beat that, right? It is a fully functioning healthcare clinic. So go get yourself checked out. Life is short. Make the decision to revitalize your well-being, bring the spark back to your relationships, and take your health to unimaginable heights. All you got to do is Google Game Day Lawrence, Kansas to book your free consult, or you can call 75222-4272. Mention this ad, by the way. Tell them Rock Chalk Sports sent you.
Yeah, Mitch Bales, everybody at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence, appreciate that partnership. Case of the Mondays, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Dan, it's got to start with the Chiefs. You know, it was strange because I was over at my parents' house with my daughters, and they were soaking in some snuggles, and it was before kickoff, and I was like, so I guess we watched the Chiefs game anyway, right? It's been 10 years since we played a game not being in you know, it's
I really didn't want to watch that
It's
game.
what normal people have to do, right? People who haven't enjoyed this dynasty that the Chiefs have found themselves still in the middle of. We're gonna hopefully we don't close the book just because we missed the playoffs. Obviously you got a guy, but Chiefs didn't have a good game. Gardner Minshew gets injured, just as Patrick Mahomes did, and my dad actually brought up a really good point. He said it kind of is telling that without 15 on the field, how good this team actually is.
Right.
The team's not very good. So,
No.
Case of the Mondays for everybody in Red Kingdom. We kind of need to run out the clock, but especially Gardner Minshew, who woke up yesterday, Dan, thinking, all right, I got 3 games to make some money here and prove that I'm a NFL quality starting quarterback. And
He
then
started
he
for
goes
the
down
Raiders
to-
last year.
Yeah.
And he broke his collarbone, and now he's that was a perfect opportunity for Gardner Minshew to show that he still has starting capabilities in the NFL. And Case of the Mondays for Chiefs quarterbacks, because this is the second game in a row where the Chiefs starting quarterback tore their ACL. I don't know.
Don't ever say it can't get worse. It's like the Buddy Bell quote with the Royals being so bad. Never say it can't get worse because everything has gone terribly. Last week, everybody on the Chiefs roster, it seemed like whoever touched the field was getting injured.
I know. Yeah, Trent McDuffie didn't play in this game against Tennessee. I mean, there was a number of different guys who didn't play in this game against Tennessee. But I implore you to find me a time in NFL history where the same team had 2 different quarterbacks tear their ACL in back-to-back games. I don't know if that's ever happened. It stinks. I feel really bad for Gardner Minshew. Chris Oladokun came in, threw his first NFL pass. I know last year he got in against the Broncos, I believe, and he had 5 snaps. I think he ran the ball once and handed it off every other time. But he came in and he did fine. He had over 100 yards, right?
He kind of looks like Mahomes.
He kind of does.
Just
I
in
know.
like how he has the sleeves down to his
Yeah,
elbows,
just
and then he's got the he's,
similar
I think he's
body
he's
type.
19, similar
Yeah.
body type.
Similar body types. But I have a list of because as of right now, this is the quarterback depth chart. It's Chris Oladokun, Travis Kelce.
I thought it was Noah Gray.
Okay, well, I thought it was 2. I'm hearing a lot of reports that it probably would have been.
Just let Kelsey
Kelce.
play quarterback.
Why not?
I mean, if he's going to be done,
He went to Cincinnati as a quarterback.
Yes.
So it's probably it's Chris Oladokun, then maybe Noah Gray, then Travis Kelce. So you have 2 tight ends in your top 3 quarterback room. That's not good. So the Chiefs need to get somebody at least for these last 2 games, because if Chris Oladokun goes out in this next game, literally you cannot do anything. So I have a list of eligible quarterbacks that I think would be a good fit. Let me know what you think about all of these. Bailey Zappi, who's been on the Chiefs. He's on the Browns practice squad right now. He was supposed to be the next guy, Western Kentucky legend. He was supposed to be the next guy for the Patriots. Didn't work out. How do you feel about Bailey Zappi?
Serviceable. If we're just talking
Sure.
2 games, right?
Yeah.
I don't hate the Bailey Zappi option.
Okay.
It would be more fun to have Travis Kelce. But
Similar, Shane Buechele.
no.
Okay. Right away. All right. Ian Book, Notre Dame legend.
I mean,
He's also on the. He was with the Chiefs last year.
he's kind of gritty.
Yeah.
He's kind of gritty. I
kinda
would
gritty.
throw a dart at him.
So I have one I'm gonna save. Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
What are your?
They'd be fun.
Don't laugh at this. It's not
They'd be
even a
fun.
joke. I'm saying
He's
like
available. He's only 36, right?
he was mad that the Colts didn't call him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If Phil Rivers, he's got 7 kids.
Yeah.
You know the wear and tear that 7 kids puts on your body, particularly females.
I do
A little
not.
bit more so than males.
I do not. But yeah, Philip Rivers is actually a grandfather. One of his kids
Yeah.
has a kid now.
Crazy.
I wouldn't hate that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be fun. Like it'd be so much fun.
It'd be fun
to see
It's a
Cam
splash,
Newton
yeah.
in the red
It
and
would
gold.
make the next 2 games a lot more fun to watch.
100%.
Yeah,
It
Bailey
would be
Zappi.
so
I don't
much
know if
fun.
he's gonna.
No,
do that.
I have a lot of names. Alex Smith.
No,
Come on,
no.
he can win comeback player of the year.
He needs to be healthy and done.
Fair enough. Matt Ryan.
Matty Ice, no. I like
Okay.
both those guys as analysts, though.
That's fair. Eli Manning.
No.
Okay. That was more of a funny one. Jason Bean.
Ding, 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 ding. There it is. Jason Bean. That would be fun.
That would be a lot
Yeah.
of fun. He's a free agent right now. He's not on the practice squad anymore for the Colts. He's still working out. He's still in the prime of his youth.
Just turned 25.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why give Jason Bean a call?
Do you think it'll be Oladukin, though, the rest of the way?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
I think they get some. I think they have to get somebody this week.
Yeah.
This is the one that I really want because I think it'd be a lot of fun. I watched him play a lot of football when he played at UCLA. Dorian Thompson Robinson.
No, former Brown legend.
Come on,
Uh-uh.
DTR. I want to experience. I want to have the DTR experience.
Man, Oladukin is 28. Wow.
Dorian Thompson Robinson. It would be so much fun. He
has the best name on the Browns jerseys list of quarterback
it's
names.
Great.
Yeah.
It's great. And I think if DTR goes out there, you're going to see some fun plays. You're going to see some quarterback bootlegs. He'll get you a 25-yard run. I guarantee it. Now, will he fumble it at the end? Maybe.
Maybe.
Will he try to throw it at the end? Also, maybe. But he's so much fun to watch. I'm a big fan. More than likely, Chiefs are going to probably call up Bailey Zappi or Shane Buechele just because they've been in the pro. Like Shane Buechele, Bailey Zappi, and Ian Book are the 3 names that people
Most
are throwing
likely,
around
yeah.
because they've been with the program within the last year.
Yeah.
So that just makes
It
sense.
wouldn't be grabby, but yeah, they're familiar with the playbook.
Cam
and
Newton would be
familiar with
fun.
the guys. It would
Cam
be.
Newton would be so much fun.
I doubt it happens, though.
I know.
I mean, you never know, though. The Chiefs, Le'Veon Bell,
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
I mean, they've never been afraid to.
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. Yes.
Yeah. He won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
That's right.
And
Wow.
he didn't play at all. Wasn't even in pads.
That's
But
great. Shout out to Kevin McCullough, by the way, who got a bonus of like $250,000 for the Knicks winning the NBA Cup, even though he didn't play.
Nice.
Shout out.
Shout out to Kevin McCullough.
Tell us about the Big Cats.
The Lions are having a case of the Mondays because they scored a touchdown to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday. But then it got called back.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the weirder things that I've seen, so it was 29-24, 8 seconds left. Jared Goff throws to a wide receiver. It was Amon-Ra St. Brown, who might have been in the end zone. I don't think he was. He got pushed back. He fumbled the ball. Jared Goff picks it up and dives into the end zone for a touchdown as time expires. Heroic effort. But there's laundry on the field. Flags are out. The referee comes out and says, the result of the play is a touchdown.
Oh, my God. I didn't hear the call.
Roars inside
Yeah,
of whatever
Ford Field.
Roars inside Ford Field. But, he goes, but there was an offensive pass interference on Amon-Ra St. Brown beforehand, so that negates the touchdown. The game is over.
If you watch the play, though, it seems like the play shouldn't have happened. Probably Amon-Ra St. Brown decided to fumble the football on purpose.
Oh, for sure.
Because he was stopped. I mean, his forward progress was stopped, and I'm surprised that they even said the ruling on the field was a touchdown. But, yeah, bummer. Offensive pass interference, though, I didn't see that.
You can't say the ruling on the field is a touchdown, but
right.
just kidding, there is no touchdown. The game is over.
What would that be like? That would be like when you propose to Piper if she says yes, but
no.
I'm not going to marry you.
Yeah, right. yeah, and it's exactly what it is. No, or like, yeah, I don't know. It's unbelievable. And now I feel so bad. Shout out to Andy Flower, man, Detroit legend. Detroit Lions fans have just gone through it, and it's almost like, if I'm a Lions fan, I would just rather just still continue to be bad and a laughingstock than have these last 3 years just tease you. You know what I mean?
God, yeah.
Because they were up, 17 points in an NFC Championship game, wound up losing it. They just continue to be at the cusp, and, everyone's calling Detroit Lions fans are calling their families saying, we're going to the Super Bowl, and then they don't go to the Super Bowl. We're going to make the playoffs. They don't make the playoffs. And it's just, I was having this conversation with Elijah actually beforehand. It's kind of similar to the hypothetical of, would you rather lose a game by 20 or would you rather lose on a buzzer beater?
Yeah.
And it's like, it feels like the last 3 years have been the equivalent of Detroit losing by a buzzer beater. Instead, like if I'm a Lions fan, I just would rather be bad and just where they were.
The
but
Lions,
now it's just teasing them almost.
They have a fun offense. What's a real bummer for them is the fact that their final 2 games, first of all, short week. They play on Christmas at the Vikings, and then at the Bears.
Yeah.
Those are not easy, particularly closing out the season at the Bears. That being said, I believe they still control their own destiny. Actually not. There's a lot of teams with good records.
Lions are probably out.
I mean, they if they end up 10-7, the problem is the 2 wildcard teams both have 4 losses.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to leapfrog the Packers, who have that pesky tie at 9-5-1. So, yeah, kind of a bummer. Lions and Chiefs potentially
Big time bummer.
Both be out.
I'm going to go rapid fire here. DK Metcalf punched a fan. Case of the Mondays for him. He's probably going to be suspended, probably going to get fined, probably going to get sued. Trevon Diggs, he's having a case of the Mondays because he got concussed installing a TV.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. He said he was trying to be a handyman and the TV fell on his head
Oh.
and he had to sit out this last game.
How heavy was this TV? Like, what
Must
year
have been
was it
pretty
from?
big.
My goodness.
I know, right? And then I have one more. We do have a video for it. Ed Cooley's having a case of the Mondays. He's the head coach of Georgetown. Georgetown lost to Xavier at the end of the game, and he smoked a kid in the face with a water bottle. Let's see that clip right now.
Back from the corner, missed it short, and Xavier escapes.
Ed Cooley, man. Look, here's the thing. I understand we all get frustrated, but you can't fire a 93 mile an hour fastball with a half-empty water bottle into a child's face. You just cannot do that.
Thankfully, it looks like it avoided the face.
Yeah, it hit him in the chest.
What are you doing, man?
I know, man.
But
You're a head coach.
Where did he expect that to go? And the kid ends up being like 5 feet away from him.
Quick story. I know we are running low on time. When I remember when I was in high school, my head coach he got a double T because he was mad, and he took off his tie and he fired it into the stands. It was awesome.
Yeah, isn't that
That
great?
was so much
Well,
fun.
remember Roy Boy when he was here? He would
course.
when you knew he was hot when he would take off his suit jacket and chuck it into the stands.
Oh, it's amazing.
So good.
Frank
Didn't happen
Martin.
too often.
Frank Martin. I'm surprised he hasn't. He's
Yeah.
never thrown anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Whatever.
true. Legend.
Anyway, that's Case of the Mondays.
Hey, after this, some Monday Night Football game picks on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, and ESPN Kansas City.